Most gardeners are taught the same routine. Dig, turn, amend, wait, repeat every season. But, long before rototillers and bagged fertilizer existed, German farmers quietly perfected a garden bed that does the opposite. No turning, no resting period, no yearly rebuilding. Just slow, steady soil fertility that lasts decades. This method is known today as Hügelkultur, and once you understand how it works, it completely changes the way you think about soil, compost, and effort in the garden. I've seen it outperform raised beds, compost trenches, and even heavily amended plots, especially in poor or dry soils. Let's break down why this ancient system is still one of the most powerful soil-building techniques ever created, and how you can use it without waiting years to see results. Hügelkultur literally means mound culture, but the name doesn't capture the brilliance of the system. At its core, it's a slow-release soil engine built from woody material buried beneath organic layers. Early German and Austrian farmers noticed something important. Plants growing near fallen trees were healthier, greener, and needed less water. The decomposing wood acted like a sponge, pulling in moisture and releasing nutrients gradually as fungi broke it down. Instead of removing fallen timber, they buried it intentionally and planted directly on top. What makes Hügelkultur special is that it mimics how forests build soil, not in seasons but in decades. Wood doesn't break down like compost. Large logs can take 10 to 20 years to fully decompose underground, and during that entire time, they're feeding the soil ecosystem. As fungi colonize the wood, they unlock minerals that plants can't access on their own. Bacteria follow, then worms, then beneficial insects. Each stage feeds the next. This creates a self-sustaining food web beneath your plants that keeps renewing itself year after year. Unlike traditional compost that releases nutrients quickly and then disappears, buried wood acts like a long-term nutrient savings account. Every rainfall, every irrigation, every root exudate activates it again. That's why well-built hugel beds often outperform fertilized beds after the first season, and keep doing so long after others decline. One of the biggest myths about Hügelkultur is that you need to wait years before planting. But honestly, that only happens when beds are built incorrectly or they're just too large for the materials used. When you layer properly, you can actually plant the same day. It's really that simple. Fresh wood goes at the bottom, where decomposition is slowest and nitrogen tie-up doesn't affect plant roots. Above that, you add smaller branches, then leaves, straw, compost, manure, and finally topsoil. This gradient ensures that roots grow into rich, active material, while the wood quietly begins its long transformation below. The result is immediate plant growth with long-term soil improvement, no fallow period required. One of the most powerful benefits of Hügelkultur is water management. Buried wood absorbs rain like a sponge and releases it slowly during dry periods. In hot climates or sandy soils, this alone can double plant resilience. In my own tests, hugel beds needed significantly less irrigation after the first season. During heat stress, plants stayed upright and productive while neighboring beds wilted. This makes Hügelkultur especially valuable in regions facing erratic rainfall, rising temperatures, or water restrictions. Once established, these beds almost regulate themselves. Seasoned gardeners often reach a point where effort matters more than novelty. Hügelkultur shines here. There's no annual digging, no soil collapse, no nutrient crash. Beds improve instead of degrade. Fungal networks expand every year, meaning better nutrient transfer and disease resistance. Weeds struggle because soil structure is loose and alive, not compacted. Even pests behave differently. Healthy, mineral-balanced plants send fewer distress signals, making them less attractive to insects in the first place. This isn't a trick, it's soil biology doing what it evolved to do. The most common mistake is using only small sticks or chips instead of true woody material. Thin material breaks down too fast and doesn't provide long-term structure or water storage. Another mistake is building beds too steep without enough soil cover. Exposed organic matter dries out, slows decomposition, and, well, it attracts unwanted scavengers. Finally, many gardeners overcomplicate the process. Hügelkultur isn't about perfection, it's about stacking natural processes in your favor. You don't need a massive mound to benefit. Hügel principles work in raised beds, sunken beds, keyhole gardens, and even orchards. Anywhere you can bury organic material, you can build long-term fertility. So think of Hügelkultur not as a structure, but more as a strategy. You store carbon underground, feed microbes, stabilize moisture, and then honestly, just let time do the work for you. Once you start viewing soil as a living system instead of just a container for fertilizer, everything really changes. Modern gardening relies on constant inputs because, well, the system is broken. We mine nutrients, apply them briefly, and then we watch them leach away. Hügelkultur, though, flips that model entirely. It builds fertility in place, locks carbon into the soil, and creates resilience instead of dependency. That's why it has survived for centuries, and you know, why it's more relevant now than ever. This isn't nostalgia, it's efficiency. If you're tired of rebuilding beds, chasing nutrients, or fighting dry soil every season, this ancient German method is worth your attention. Hügelkultur rewards patience, but it doesn't demand it. You can plant immediately, harvest the same year, and still build soil that improves for decades. That's real soil power. If this kind of deep, practical gardening knowledge speaks to you, make sure you subscribe to Soilpower, share this with a fellow gardener, and keep spreading methods that actually work, not just for one season, but for generations.